Okay, man, bring me up ankle. This one's the ankle. I think Corona.
At least you understand it, right? At least you understand it. I wish you could. Believe in me. You think I want to have the zone in this town? Not enough of everything. Maybe you're gonna have to let me get me to do some new stuff I haven't seen yet. I've been doing food bank for 3 months now. It's like I can't look at the screen anymore.
You might have to start learning Torah. Something you haven't done for a while.
I do, you know.
Bring up ankle. Bring up ankle, man. Oh, wow, look at this. What a fancy lid. Drink from the bottle. Yossi, how are you? Yeah. Look at this. It's worth coming tonight. This you've been waiting for. What else could you ask for?
What are you doing here?
Today is a special day. Today, would you believe it? Today is a special day. It really is.
Today.
Today is the 6th day of Tishrei.
Sixth
day of Tishrei. It's the yard site of the Rebbe's mother, Rebbe Tzimchana, the mother of royalty. The mother of
I was
royalty.
speaking with my grandma today. Have you heard of Getcha Zelensky?
I haven't. Bring a chair. Sit a chavek. Sing a niggin. Shama lecha nafshi. There's social distancing. 2 meters. Back up. There we go. Don't go far. Come lecha. Take a biscuit. Take a cookie. Make a bracha. I think the Abish for good things. Who's on his first? Ein ma kodesh chazi sicha legai sotzcha chavoidecha. The window, so yeah, you see the window. Ma kodesh chazi sicha sotzcha chavoidecha. Yekein ma kodesh what's that? Now? Amalecha v'sarni v'yeretzi aveyef b'li Yamayim. Triya ma 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 ya da 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 kamracha yama ama ma 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 two ma 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 ya ma ma. Sorry. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam berei min mezenes. Everyone's on YouTube. Don't worry. It's on the YouTube. Chaim and Bracha. Oh, make a bracha, Shakom. Chaim and Bracha. Don't drink and drive, Chaim. Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shakir niyam in the morning. Oh, one color's going to bottom. Chaim and Bracha. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from far and wide, from near and close, the Alpha Zalmte, it's very important to appreciate the importance of today. Today is an exciting day to Farbrengen after having such a fantastic gift of Rosh Hashanah, where we saw enormous Nissim Gluyim in the Hatzlacha, from step to step, from event to event, from one puller to the next. And the Rebbe gave us so many koiches, so much Hatzlacha. Tonight, we have an opportunity. I don't know, you pin a video. Here we go. I have opportunity to have a personal shaykhus to the Rebbe. This is the Rebbe's mother. The Rebbe's mother is the mother of Malchus, the mother of royalty, and it's a yard site today. Vav Tishrei is a day where we get to hear how the Rebbe daven for the Yomid. So many important things happen on Vav Tishrei, but importantly, it's also today which the Rebbe gave us Farbrengens, Siches, and on Vav Tishrei, in particular, it's a time where we have obviously we're in a Sarasime Teshuvah, as the Rebbe points out in many Siches, but at the same time also Vav Tishrei is a time where is chizuk of his kashrus to our Rebbe even more so than everything else that's going on in the month of Tishrei. So I want to share two ideas that I heard from two of my children today, both from their own schools, two of the best schools in the whole wide world, Al Yitzhak Lubavitch Boys School and Al Yitzhak Lubavitch Girls School here in Manchester. We're blessed to have. So my daughter came home today, and she doesn't even know, but her teacher left us a message saying a thought that she heard about Corona Tishrei during lockdown, Tishrei in a time where shuls are all irregular, and a lot of there are many differences in the way people are praving Yom Tovim, the way people are being mischazik during these times. And one of the thoughts that came to her mind that she shared, and the teacher passed it along, is the idea of being able to enjoy and join in the Yom Tovim and in the Kehillah, doing it together. But the bottom line is, where in other years you could just tag along and everything happened around you and you got swept along with the current, this year it's a little different. This year we have a wake up. You have to do it yourself. You have to swim. If you're just going to flop into the water and expect everyone else to push you along, it doesn't work this way. And this year, more than ever, we see the importance that a person has to be Shalhabes Olam Me'ileho. So Aaron HaKohen comes and lights the menorah, but each flame has to rise and shine on its own. And this year, you see people come to shul, and unless you're trying actively to be switched on, then it's not necessarily the atmosphere that envelops you automatically like you might do in other years. And in a way, this year teaches us this lesson for life even more than any other year. So that's one beautiful idea of a service that you could take. And Vav Tishrei, in a sense, does that teaches us that? Because the Rebbe's mother, of course, we know the Aim Malchus and the wife of her husband and the powerhouse that she was. in her time, in the challenges, as including in epidemics and plagues that took place, which she dealt with very strongly. But at the same time, the Simchas Achayim, and the Lebedekeit, and the pride which he took in the Rebbe, amazingly, like a personal feeling of closeness. Of course, she was the mother, and then you have, in addition to that, another beautiful lesson I heard today with a story of where are you going? Mendel will tell you the story. There was a beautiful mashal that was shared in all the Yitzhak Lubavitch Boys School, in which they shared the idea of where are you going. There was a beautiful story where they overheard the police were telling the shagets, where are you going? Because even the shagets has to know where you're going. And if you're going somewhere, go there. If you're going somewhere, go there. And then we know that for 5,781 years already, we're headed somewhere. And the question we ask yourself is, where are we going? We're going to go there. If we're headed towards Geula, so then all of Rosh Hashanah, all of us Eresimei Tshuva, everything about what's happening now is about going to Geula. These are two beautiful ideas that we heard. That's, personally, I felt very uplifted by the two messages from the gifts that we have in here in Shtad, fantastic schools. I want to share something for the Rebbe said on Vav Tishrei in Tavshim Dalet. In Tavshim Dalet, the Rebbe spoke. There was a lot going on at the time in the United Nations and stuff were happening. And then the Rebbe spoke about this unbelievable, almost like a contradiction, where on one hand, every person is the person to themselves, and at the same time, everybody's part of a kehillah. Then I worked on the pasuk, Baruch haba b'shem Hashem, and the next word of the pasuk are, Berachnuchem mi beis Hashem. So is it Baruch haba singular, or Berachnuchem where it's plural? And this sort of idea, if you ever went boating, you get this idea very clearly. There's no drive forward on the boat. Unless you have like a motorboat, like a packaged boat. Part of what the JLI does to you is it trains you to learn how to present packaged Judaism, where you have like flat pat Yiddishkeit, and you can unpack it, and it's made exactly cut to size, and you unpack it, and you build it, and it's made in Sweden, and it works. It's like here, flat pack Yiddishkeit is great, because it's much easier to sell a flat pack box than it is to sell like a misfit furniture and this and that. But flat pack Yiddishkeit is just the maybe just a framework at best. A motorboat's like that. A real boat, you have a right side oar and you have a left side oar, and there's no forward. There's a bit more right, a bit more left, too much left, so a bit more right, then a bit more left, then a bit more right. And between everything, you end up going in the right direction. You end up going forward. But you constantly have to know there's no forward. There's right and there's left and there's right and left. And sometimes I realize that I put a bit too much more emphasis on one side over the other side. But that's part of going forward. That's part of traveling. Not only it's a mistake that you could fix. This is it. This is how Hashem designed it. This is how Hashem designed Yiddishkeit and humanity and Bria and creation and all of it, that we have to go right and left and right and left. And we have to constantly readjust the direction we're going. And in order to do this, the Eibush gave us gifts like Rosh Hashanah and the Eresimei Tshuva, gifts like Farbrengens and Farbrengen arrangers. We'll make sure that we have Farbrengens, and we have Bison to help us along. And all these things are there to help us, that when we have an off-course Natiya, so that we redirect the off-course, so that helps us going forward rather than going backwards or going the wrong way. So this is one of the ideas that the Rebbe touches on very strongly in this particular Farbrengen. And the Rebbe talks about where you have two opposite poles that are both equally built into Yiddishkeit. They're both equally part of what we're doing, but each one on its own won't get us to the destination. And to do none of them completely also won't get us to the destination. We have to try and do both of them the whole time. What's both of them? So Baruch haba lashon yachid and Beirachnuchem lashon rabim. Everybody has their own gifts that they present and they give to the world, they give to bring to the table. And everyone also has the dependent or the joint interdependence in which we feed off each other, and together we can make massive things happen. Much, much larger than a person can do on their own. But if a person's going to choose to only be part of the Kehillah and ignore what they can bring, so then they're not going forward. They're going sideways. And if they're going to only do what they're doing themselves and not join in with everybody else, and not be mechazik the meisters, and not be able to join in a Farbrengen when they can, and all these kind of things, so then they'll be riding on their own, which will also won't be going forward. They'll be going sideways the other way. And together we have to go forward. So the Rebbe brings a beautiful mashal, which I think wasn't only a mashal, was a big part of the lesson, the bechein of what the Rebbe was talking about at the time, and he ties it into the inyan of chinuch. The interesting expression the Rebbe uses, kal v'chomer ben b'noi shel kal v'chomer. When you have a semi-normal person, I think the Rebbe, the person who has a little bit of seichel, and you hope that they're going to take the chinuch of their children seriously. What does that mean? That even if it means sometimes that they're going to eat a little less, and they'll make do with spending a little less on themselves. But in order to be able to provide for the child and for their children, what the children need, or the children can use in order to grow, so then a person is happily ready to give it away. Why? Because the chinuch of a child is fundamental. It's what a person lives for. What a person lives for. And that's why taking the chinuch of a child seriously is so foundational. It's what makes a person into who they are. There it says even more that you can even measure a person's personality by how they work with their children. It's an interesting thing to take into consideration. Think about how a person relates to their children, and it tells a lot about how they're living their lives, what's important to them. And I hope almost every normal people take it seriously. Of course, you said it. No, there's no right and wrong. There's no forward. You do a bit more right and a bit more left and a bit more right and a bit more left. But the idea is that we're at least we're thinking about it. So what's the idea of chinuch that ties into this concept of doing both things the whole time? So you could say on one hand, it's being serious and being lebedik. It's not what it says in the Sikha, but it ties in. Being serious and being lebedik, you see is very, very clearly, very often in what we saw, the little bit we saw of Rabbi Tzimchana, the life, the chayis, and the pride in which he took at the same time, being when it came down to taking care of things, was without any viturim, literally, things that other people couldn't do. Even like with the ksavim that we have from Blavik, there were so many people who tried to get it out so we could have the ksavim, and Rabbi Tzimchana was the one who arranged for it to come to us so that we have it today, a lot of it. One of the sikhs that Rabbi was talking about, how we can learn already from that. When you have people who for 50 years are trying to achieve something, and all the greatest minds are trying to achieve it, and they can't do it. So you could say to yourself, no, if they couldn't do it, I can't do it. And Rabbi Tzimchana tells us, no. It's taka true that it didn't work until now. But that's not why we decide if it's worth trying to do it or not. We don't base ourselves on statistics. We can't. We don't base ourselves on statistics, on cheshbonus that everyone else has. There's an objective, and if the opportunity presents itself, we jump on it, because this is what the Eibush designed us to do. That's lebedikait. We're being serious. Both are very important, and sometimes you need to add a little bit of seriousness. Sometimes you need to add a lot of simcha and lebedikait, and they're both important. But here the Rebbe Sikha talking about chinuch talks about the two almost contradictory messages we try and impart to our children and to ourselves, the child within us, and having Moshes chinuch that have these things so clear, so part of the fabric of how the chinuch and Moshes chinuch work. It's partially a tremendous bracha. Rabbi Chaim, our parents once shared me many years ago how everything that we have here is such a beautiful bracha. There are shulchim who would drive 4 hours, 5 hours to be able to get to a chinuch-like place, and here we have it on our doorstep. So this sort of idea of chinuch taking seriously and the appreciation we have for it, and the two things that we're teaching our child. On the one hand, there are foundational basics that are values that are non-negotiable. And even before you get into what those values are, but being able to teach a child that even when it doesn't make sense, even when it doesn't add up to, and we can't get our head around it, but if this is a value that is a red line, so that we don't cross it. And the Rebbe says even more, no, we don't cross it. We don't cross it in order to get back to the green side. Sometimes a person can make a cheshbon that this sort of rule is a rule that's put into place for such and such a cheshbon. And it's in order to this, that, and the other. And that's why it's so important. So today, I have a good explanation why I can bend the rule, and I could be makel a shtickle over here, because it's not really so important anyhow. And through being makel today, so then later on I'll be able to come back and be better. There are values that we need to educate from day one, and then this is a red line, and there are consequences. But even without consequences, there's an acceptance that it has to be. And this is a number one rule in chinuch, the ability to train ourselves, and obviously our children, which means so much to us, to be able to live with being okay with doing the right thing, even if it doesn't feel comfortable, and more so, even if it doesn't necessarily make sense to us. If this is the right thing, it's so important to be able to get that as part of us. One nakuda, an idea of not budging from a red line. And the Rebbe in the Sikha then continued, that at the same time, we then teach our same children, although you have a rule you cannot budge from, and you have to stick to it, and of course we're saying children, we mean ourselves also. By Bishal, we also say that a person has to constantly move and constantly grow. And whatever was good enough for yesterday cannot be enough for today. And it's true that yesterday you got top marks, or if you don't mark by necessarily by grades or by dapping, by choice, by effort, however you're going to mark the different systems that we have and the fantastic ways to measure growth. But today you have to go more. And today is going to be good and wonderful, but don't think to yourself that because you're going to get today right, you're going to be there. You're going to keep on growing and keep on going. And in a sense, if you think about it, we're really telling our children a little bit of a contradiction. Because on the one hand, we want our child to know, nishtandish meaning you're going to stick to what's right and not change and not budge. And at the same time, we want ourselves and our children to continue growing. So this is the contradiction that Rebbe talks about. I want to get knocked off YouTube for this. We should have the ability to care about our children even when hard things aren't easy. We should have the ability to appreciate the fantastic gift of chinuch that we have here in town. And of course, we should have the ability to be matzliach in the objective of being mechanech. Yeah. So that's the contradiction. So then the Sikha continues and says, but actually, yes, we tell them both. But not only we tell them both, a bit like we said before, the right and the left, one pushes the other. With one, you can't have the other, and with other, you can't have the one. Why not? Because a yid has to be alive. And the only way to be alive is to have both opposing sides constantly pulling us or pushing us the whole time. What do we mean by that? And or as the Rebbe says, how is it even shaykh to expect that or to educate that to our children? So here's where it comes down to, and the Rebbe tells us this many a time, it comes down to why are we doing what we're doing? And if we have that straight, then every time there's a question, then the answer can be clearly answered without having to struggle to figure out what's the right thing to do. L'mashal, if a child has to be told, or a child has to decide whether they should be growing and changing for what they're doing, or they should be sticking to what they did last time. So if it's a question of how do you feel, or what makes sense to you right now, so then you're up for a guessing game oftentimes. And sometimes you get it right, and sometimes I'm setting myself up for not getting it right. But if we have this one nakuda, and this nakuda is clear, so then with this nakuda, we can go through everything. And the truth is, the same thing applies also to the nakuda, the question of, thank you, the nakuda of what Tishrei is supposed to be. Someone was making a joke that in it comes to a court case, there's different ways to approach a court case. Some people come to the courtroom and they plead guilty, and they hope that the judge will be kind to them. Some people come to the courtroom, they go all strong, and they say, no, we're innocent. And they prove they're innocent, so the judge has a hard time to be able to say, okay, Taki, you're innocent, but... And then the third option, So they want to say the same thing that comes with when it comes to Rosh Hashanah judgment. So you can come to the Rebbeinu Shalom and say, I'm a waste of time. Come to the Rebbeinu Shalom and say, look how good I'm doing. Or the third option is, not on the joke, but the third option is to be a chassid. And what's a chassid? Chassid is to follow the path that the Rebbe laid out for us. And that's like the one simple nakuda that starts from the beginning and it carries through Midas Emes all the way through. So if we were doing package Yiddishkeit, JLI style, we would say it's a simple barometer that with which it's a tool you can have, and with this you can go through life. But of course, even package Judaism is supposed to be based on Emes, so you have to be able to unpack it. The idea is that there's one area in everything that we are asking ourselves that can always bring clarity. As a chassid, you could say to yourself, what would the Rebbe say in this question? And of course, you're asking yourself, what would the Rebbe say? The Rebbe would say, what does the Eibishter want? What does the Eibishter want in this particular case? And if that's the question, as in the Eibishter created me, and the Eibishter is recreating me, including everything that's going on around me, with the children that I have, with the yes available and the not available resources that are here for me or not here for me, so that I can or I cannot support the people I would like to support the way I wanted to. It's a real question. It's a real thing. But this is all being created right now by the Rebbeinu Shalom, and the Rebbeinu Shalom knows exactly what he's made available to me and what he set me up for. And now the question is, what does Eibush want me to do right now? And if that's the question, not about should I be more lebedik or should I be more serious? The question is, what does the Eibush want me to do right now? And if that's the question, so then when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, it's not about, am I going to make it through this court case or not make it through this court case? Am I supposed to be taking a hurrah from this sort of, if it presents itself and I'm able to, for sure I should. But the question is, what does the Eibush want me to do right now? And the Rebbe is the guiding light that shows us through the path over and over again in each case. So going back to the idea of chinuch, I don't have to teach my child azoy nicht anders because there's no reason. Kabbalah's oil because of Kabbalah's oil. Kabbalah's oil is very important. It's the first step of chinuch, Kabbalah's oil. But there's more words to the phrase. It's not just Kabbalah's oil. Carry a yoke with you wherever you go. The phrase is Kabbalah's oil, Malchus Shemayim. Kabbalah's oil, Malchus Shemayim. You accepting the yoke of the Rebbeinu Shalom. And the beautiful how the Mamarim explain the difference between having a melech and a moishel. Kabbalah's oil, Malchus Shemayim is the king. It's not just the fact that somebody is able to tell me what to do and I'm subservient to them because I have no other choice. What should I do? The Eibush is greater than me. If I was greater than the Eibush, I'll tell the Eibush what to do. But in fact, the Eibush is greater than me, then I have no other choice. Has to show. The Eibush is the Melech. The Melech is shad that the Eibush is accepted by us because we love the king. The Eibush is our Rebbeinu Shalom. And that's why when it comes to a question, what's the Eibush want from me? So then sometimes you have, even when it comes to chinuch, maybe the two spouses, the father and the mother, don't always agree on how to best be mechanech the child. Or perhaps even more common sometimes, the school and the parents have a difference of opinion of what's the best way to proceed in being mechanech the children to the best possible way. It's a serious question. And so is being messiah with such a mechanech, and so is mechanech. And then the question is, what does Eibush want? Not about how does it feel best, or how do I think it's best? What does the Eibush want? And when I come to that sort of question, there's so many more variables included, but there's so much more clarity. It's so much more clarity with an approach that the reason why I'm being mechanech my child, or the reason why my child is making any decision or deciding to do something, is because the Eibush said so. And the Eibush wants me to thrive. And that's why I have to make a decision. And with that approach, then the whole zugang is different. It doesn't mean that the answer is necessarily going to be different, but it's lichtig. It's lively. It's full of life. Imagine the pictures of the Rebbetzin and Chana, where she's standing smiling and seeing the Rebbe. Such a lively picture, such a lively, exciting thing. And then even in difficult times, even in challenging moments, that sort of simcha of knowing that what we're doing right now, working through a trauma or working through a hard question of chinuch, or a hard question of teshuvah, a hard question of whether to go to shul or how to go to shul, how to deal with the different things that come up. But that's an opportunity of a connection to the Rebbeinu Shalom. This is Vav Tishrei is giving us a window into a Aseret Yemei Teshuvah, a Chassidish approach. Everything about life is alive. Is alive. It's full of life, and that same life is very serious. It's not like because we don't care, take it seriously. So therefore, it's all a joke anyhow. And who cares? Whatever you do will be okay. It's just fine. Just go rolling. The joke of the third option was that you walk into the courtroom, and you claim insanity. You claim insanity. So for the whole Tishrei you behave like a Meshugana, and then you're in insanity. The Eibish's Meichel Yukayanya. That's the joke. That's what we don't do. Chas v'shalom. Instead, we walk into the courtroom, we say, we're in the courtroom also for the Eibishter. We're here also setting up this new year of Tafshin Pei Aleph, Plus Arenu, also because the Eibishter wants us to. When we walk into an exciting opportunity like this, the Eibishter set us up. Like right now, not because I was born 50 years ago, how many years ago. That's why I'm alive today. I'm alive today right now because the Eibishter needs me right now. And that's why he made me with everything going around it. So when we can remind ourselves this thing, this is very alive. There's only one point that needs to be pointed out, which the Rebbe doesn't make clear in the Sikha, but it's something that the Rebbe often doesn't make clear in the Sikha. And that is that there's a Yetzer Hara. There's a Yetzer Hara, and it's very real. And the Yetzer Hara basically sabotages the plan. The Yetzer Hara comes along, not just one time, says don't buy into the plan. Even after we've bought into a plan. It's very real. It's not in the Sikha though. And the Rebbe doesn't deal with the idea like, you know what, this shall we do? Sit down, figure out how to overcome the Yetzer Hara and how to make sure the Yetzer Hara gets bashed. Anan Paula Yemama Anan. The Rebbe teaches us, of course there's a Yetzer Hara, but the Yetzer Hara is part of the plan. The Yetzer Hara is part of the excitement. So all we need to do is remind ourselves what we're here for. It's such a brilliant response to the challenge of Yetzer Hara. It's real. It's not ignoring the fact. It's not like we make as if, no, we're tzaddikim, we're chassidim. We don't have challenges. We just do it right. We just do what the Rebbe wants all the time. We don't have the problem. No. It's very real. But at the same time, when they're being real, it doesn't bog us down, it doesn't break us down. Because the Yetzer Hara is part of the Eibishter wants, and the response to it is that we're going to, therefore, be more focused on what we're going to do. So you have to call a spade, 100%. You have to know what's right and what's wrong, 100%. You have to be able to have iskashus to the Rebbe, and you have to be able to have the yesod of Kabbalah and Mach Shemayim, 100%. But the focus is what are we going to do? What am I going to do? And when I can focus on the important things, such as living the way the Eibishter wants us to live, living the way the Eibishter built me for. And how do I know what to do? So I reconnect to the Rebbe, the guiding light. And when we reconnect to the Rebbe, we have a focus of what we can do. So practically, what does it mean? First of all, we should treasure our children. Kipshute. And it takes time because often, especially when things aren't quite the are usually, and even when it's a regular year, Tishrei could be a hard time. Certainly when it's a not regular year, it's not always easy to treasure our children. And then also, alongside that, treasure our children because the Eibishter is trusting us to do that. And then from there to go right into reminding ourselves the gift that the Rebbe has given us here. We have Moistes Chinuch, and the Moistes Chinuch are set up altaras HaKodesh, and it's such a beautiful matana. Pashut, the Rebbe is giving us koiches that we can be successful in this. We're setting up for success. And when we can do that, it comes to a time and you watch, look at a video or a picture, or you watch the Rebbe's mother look at her own child, our Rebbe, and the pride and the simcha she takes in her child. Okay, she had a good reason to do that. But we all have good reasons. We all have absolute good reasons. The simcha, the joy that we get in seeing our children living with doing the right thing. Oh, if someone can flick the timer outside, just put the switch on the right-hand side of the timer up. So then we'll have that sort of simcha. And this is a simcha that we say in the Mordechai, Chaim Levrachim. Ya 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 da 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 ya mama ya da 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 ya mama 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 na ya ya na ya da 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 ya 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 da 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 ya mama ma da 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 ya mama mama ya ya Amma ma da 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 ya ma ya ma ya ya da da ya 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 ma ya ya da ma ya ya da ma ya na ya na ma ya ya na Ma da 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 ma da 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 ya da 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 ya ma da 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 ya ya na ya da 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 ma ya ya da 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 ma ya Ay, ma ya ya da da ma ya ya da da ma ya da 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 ma da 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 ma da 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 ma ay na ya da 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 ya ma da 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 ya ya na ya da 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 ya ma ya da da ma ya da da ma ya na ya ma ya da da ma ya da da ma ya na ya da 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 ya da 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 ya Now, thank to the Rebbe. We have to live with the Rebbe and say thank you. But also, over this past Rosh Hashanah, some of the literally Nissim Gluyim, where you had hundreds of Yidden came, probably more, probably more 1,000 Yidden, if not more. But I saw personally hundreds of Yidden come out to hear shofar on street corners, socially distanced and mikafteling. But the idea they came out, not on Zoom, not on the Pashid Kalacha, with the Shmiras HaTorah and hearing the shofar because the Abish said so. They came out to hear the Torah in droves. People came out to Pashid here, one after the next, one place after the next place after the next place. And you had people who weren't well, not with COVID, but this one's in a wheelchair and this one's in crutches and this one. They came out to hear the shofar because they care. So you could say, wow. First of all, wow, the Yiddish Neshamas. Wow, that it was such a fantastic atzlacha, unbelievable. The Pashal L'Man Menshur, to have a people on Zoom learning to blow the shofar because they live too far to be able to go out. And then they get a shofar from the shofar bank and they learn to blow and they learn the halachas. And the guy's literally 50, 60-year-old man. He's practicing for hours and hours and hours till he learns to blow the shofar. And then he learns the halachas. And he's going to blow properly, and he's going to be mizaki himself, and he's going to mizaki people around him. So hear the shofar. And people, Pashut, are getting involved in Miftah Shofar, which was one of the first miftahs that the Rebbe launched for us. So the wow is, of course, the Hatzlacha. But the wow is that the Rebbe gave us such a gift, an opportunity, A, to connect to him, but the idea, who would have thought of it? To be able to set up that we should be able to bring shofar to so many Yidden, Mitzvah shofar, amazingly, being a part of the Rebbe's gift to the world. When it comes to Vav Tishrei, and we say thank you to the Rebbe Tzimchana, and we have the lesson that Rebbe Tzimchan gave to us, we see this nefesh for the chinuch of our children, which the Rebbe points out. But there's also more than that. Equally, like the Rebbe gave us the gift of Mitzvah shofar, and all the other mitzvahs that we have, and of course the chassidus that we have from the Rebbe, and the way of life that we have, and the guiding light. But there's more than that. The darkei chassidus, that you get from sitting by a Farbrengen with other chassidim, whether it's on Zoom or YouTube. Oh, thanks, Sam. Darkei chassidus isn't limit chassidus. Darkei chassidus is equal to limit chassidus. There's two things. Darkei chassidus is arguably one of the greatest things that we have today. Of course, limit chassidus gives us tremendous amount. It's gashas to the Rebbe, it's through limit chassidus. But to have a chayes, a koch, in coming, you use the word hanging out, spending time, Farbrengen means to spend time with fellow chassidim. This particular sikh in Tafshin Mem Daled, the Rebbe is making a massive deal of the fact that people come together. And then the Rebbe is emphasizing these two opposites. On the one hand, there's Zoyin Shtandish, which is perhaps similar to being part of a crowd. This is the crowd. This is who we're part of. This is the Kehillah that we're here. This is our shul. This is our community. We're in this together. We are Chassidim together. We are Yidden together. And then at the same time, by Bishah, every single individual, there's no person extra. This is the famous question. If everybody is equal, then how come we're not redundant? If everybody is the same, so why do we need to have copy-paste so many times? 7 billion copy-pastes. What's the point? So clearly, being equal doesn't mean we're the same. Difference is, it doesn't mean we're the same. We have the same neshama, and we're all part of the same mission, journey to the same destination, the same place. We're all headed to Geula. We'll bring the world to Geula. Dear Leis Baruch B'Dachteinim. And we all are chassidim, and we're all shluchim, and we all have to do what the Rebbe wants us to do and teaches us how to do it. But every person is individual. There's nobody who's redundant. What does that mean? Nobody's redundant means that I'm also not redundant. Azay's pshat. This is what it means. I'm also not redundant, and therefore, whichever responsibilities everybody else has, I also have my responsibilities. I also have my responsibility means that I have what it takes to step up. I have what it takes to have Mesiras Nefesh for the things that are important to Yiddishkeit. And that's what I need to be doing. And that's what I need to be doing. Ask myself the question, what does the Eibusha want from me right now? Like the guy in the story who said to him, where are you going? No way, at least we know where we're heading. We have to know where we're heading. With Mesiras Nefesh. And then when we have that, then we realize that actually being part of the Kehillah is also something that I need to actively be a part of. I need to do myself also. I have to get involved. So we come to Shul to Farbrengen. We come to Shul to spend time. We come to a shir. We come to Farbrengen together. The idea is this is also part of our personal Aveda. But the personal Aveda is also to be part of the cloud. Personal Aveda is growing. Constantly growing. Yesterday I was okay by learning the Maimon myself. Today I realized that Chassidus Faran Davening, if I'm able to, should be part of a shir, but to come together. Fantastic shir, Shabbos morning, Yom Tov mornings, or whenever else it is. And if I can, it should also be mechazik Darkei Chassidus. And Darkei Chassidus is very strongly reliant or dependent upon being involved in the Holy Brotherhood. Being involved in Holy Brother means we come and we take pride in one another. When we choose constantly to see how good things are, we choose constantly to be, yes, a little serious, and also a lot of simcha and ufkalekeit and lebedekeit with the kehillah that we're part of. So important. It's a Seres Yemei Teshuvah. Seres Yemei Teshuvah means that every day between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, we're fixing up another thing, another day. Today is Thursday. It was Thursday. On Thursday, there are 52 Thursdays a year on average. Today is Thursdays. Remember what you did all the Thursdays? Oh, Rabbi said, that's the end of the show. We're going to give the rabbi a few times on a bracha, and then we'll sing a few more negunim. The Aleph al Zalman on the loads. I'm gonna close on YouTube on things. Drush is long finished. Sing. Sing again.
Make a bracha and you sing a nigga, man.
Oh, l'chaim le'vroche.
The things that Rebbe spoke about is the nefesh he had for making the ink for the Blavik for him to write down his Torah. So the simple thing is the preciousness of learning Torah. If you know how precious it is by your husband to learn Torah, to write his Kedusha Torah, and therefore, I mean, she went out of her way to help him. She traveled to live with him, to provide him whatever he needs. And she went out of her way to make the ink in order that he should be able to write. So it obviously emphasizes the specialty of learning Torah, which is not just the fact that we should learn Torah, but it's the attitude we have to it, the fact that we relate it in a precious way, something important, something we value. If we relate it as something valuable, then the person's wife will also realize that it's valuable and therefore appreciate it, try to help it. If the person is doing it as just a chayva, then it won't necessarily arouse the help and the appreciation from the other side. When it's appreciated, whatever it is, but if the person brings out the appreciation for it, they looks forward to it, like he comes back happy from it, like it's related to as something very important, then it's more shaykh that first of all, it will help the person himself as well. The value to Torah has a very strong effect, many times more than the actual things that were learned. The attitude, the appreciation of it, and it affects the house. So again, not just the learning, but the attitude to it has a much stronger effect on the children in the house. It's something that in order to bring in the house the yoker of Torah, so a person himself, if he tries to think about it that way and to relate to it that way, to realize how precious it is that he connects to the Eibishter now. He could like disconnect from all of his own personal matters and just get into a different world, into Torah ideas. It's something that a person could appreciate, could develop appreciation for. And then when he appreciates that can have a very positive effect. That's a very simple thing that we could take from this yahrzeit. The chalal. Yeah, so we spoke of it. So I came at the end of the drasha about Aseret Mitzvah. So imagine we spoke about Aseret Mitzvah.
No, we didn't say.
I cut you off. So basically, Aseret Mitzvah, you meant to do tshuva, obviously.
What's that?
So Pashas means to look into things that weren't done so good and in order to fix them. But Bechsidim, everything is done b'simcha. B'simcha doesn't mean easygoing, lightheaded, things don't matter. The truth is that if things don't matter, you can't be b'simcha. Simcha could only be if things matter and you're achieving it, you want to achieve it, enthusiastic to achieve it. When it's just like, things are okay, whatever it will be, then there's nothing to be happy about. So, Shuvah and Chassidus is you realize how precious things are, how precious you are, how precious your relationship to the Eibishter is, and therefore how much you will be lacking from, or how much you were lacking from whatever you didn't achieve, and you realize how much you could achieve, how much it's available for you, how much it belongs to you, and therefore you really want to fix it, but it's with a happy attitude. Happy doesn't mean everything's fine. Maybe lots of things are not fine, but they're not fine because it's so precious and I'm so precious, and therefore the fact that I'm lacking it is a very big problem. And I'm able to fix it because I am so precious and I'm connected to someone so precious. Therefore, I'm able to fix it, and therefore I'm happily moving to fix these things that need to be fixed. So it could bother me. It could cause someone that thinks things are hurting him even, but it's even the hurt is based on a positive yisoid, based on a simchadiki yisoid that leads to a simchadiki thing. Things are so precious. I am so precious. My relationship to the Eibush is so precious. I'm able to fix it, and therefore it matters so much that things were lacking, things weren't the way they're supposed to be, and therefore to head to where it's supposed to be is a positive thing. Especially as the Rebbe emphasizes that by that shuvah idea is you're returning to your real self. So then, even if I don't know exactly how my plan will fix whatever needs to be fixed, but if heading in the right direction just because that's the best I could do, then whatever, it's not so encouraging. But if it's the real situation, who you really are, then heading there is holding on to your true self. So the heading itself and whatever you're able to accomplish in the right direction is already a positive accomplishment. It's already awakening, it's already bringing out the true thing you have and the true thing you are. And therefore, you can look at a positive approach. Okay, I'll do a bit better. There's so much I have to fix. I can't even imagine me fixing anything of it. So what's the point of doing that bit better? Because if you would want to create something new, then what's the point? Okay, I'm achieving something. It's worth a bit, fine. But if I'm trying to get in touch with something complete that's there, which that's why it was so bad that I was missing out on that. So anything I move closer to that connection is a complete thing. It's getting in touch with a thing which is complete, and I'm just revealing it a bit more, bringing it a bit more into me, making myself be more in the place what it really is. And therefore, that decision is a positive thing. So obviously, also practically speaking, decisions have to be made in a very practical way. When a person looks at things that were missing, so you say, okay, oy vey wasn't good, and oy vey, I don't see how I could fix it. So usually there is a bit that you could. There's a minute for once a month or whatever it is that a person could imagine that is able to do a bit better. But he looks at that as cheap. He looks at that as cheap because what is that already? But if you just think that if without thinking about it, I wouldn't necessarily do it. And now thinking about it, I'll do it. So first of all, do it because that's going to happen. But second of all, it's also that it's a complete thing, not because you could be yoitz and go to sleep. It's a complete thing because you got something fully valuable now because you got in touch with the real self. If you would be laid back still and not care about the rest, so yeah, you're back to the same issue of not realizing the true value that you have, the true connection that you have, and therefore you could make peace with missing that connection. But if you're not making peace, you just can't see how you do it. And this bit you could see how you do it has a full value because it's getting in touch with a complete thing. Since it's getting in touch with a complete thing, so that's something complete. That's not a half a thing. So a achlota, a practical achlota, which is very, very, very minimal. I don't know what once a week less, one lashon hara less, or one line of Tanya. I don't know whatever it is that could that you think you didn't do till now and you could do. So that's something which after thinking about how precious Menashom is, how precious my connection to the Abish is, how valuable the Abish is, and if he wants something to be done for me, it's a big deal that I don't do it because it's something that's expected from me, which is very, very precious, and I'm not accomplishing it. So yes, it's based on the fact that I am so precious, and therefore it's expected from me. But on the other hand, it's a big, serious thing if I'm not fulfilling it, and therefore I really want to fulfill it. But let's say I don't know how, but there's a bit of it that I do know, and the bit sounds so insignificant, but it's a bit which brings out more the full real thing. The one bit of Torah, usually right after davening or right before davening or whatever it is a more practical time that we could link it to something steady. I mean, the person davening should be steady, maybe, as they would say. The Friedrich Rebbe used to give as a scholar to soldiers, I think, he used to give them a coin to sew into their tzitzis. Point was they should wear tzitzis. So you give them a coin to sew into their tzitzis, so they have to wear tzitzis in order to sew the coin into their tzitzis. So sometimes you have the shear that you do before after davening, you should have the davening. I mean, with a minion or whatever it is, that there should be a set time for that. But okay, but either way, every person knows himself, and every person knows things that he would want to do. And the truth is, a person should want a lot. But again, you can't just solve everything. Yeah, you can't solve all issues. So a person, let's say, doesn't want to, look for big goals and not do them. So you decide to only want small goals. It's not true. You gotta want big goals. I think big things need to be done, whether in your personal life, whether in the general population, then you have to want them. And then you have to realize that shouldn't stop you. Sometimes you really want to do big things, that you can't do small things. You can't learn chita, so you can't learn another small thing in Torah. You can't be makar and a minion because you're thinking about very big things. So then, okay, if you're doing a big thing and it affects many people, then I'm not. Then you have to see each case on its own. Don't bend something which you're affecting the other people in order to add your bit of Torah. You have to really think into it in every detail, in every situation, because if you're talking about things that you're actually helping other Yidden, basic things, then much thought has to be put in anything you'll deduct from that. And that's the direction. But let's say you want to do it, and you feel If I won't do so much, then what am I doing over here? And therefore I can't settle and I can't focus on doing a small thing. So that you have to say, one second. It's not because I need to do the big thing, it's because the Abish is real, the Torah is real, and Yidden are real. And therefore, if I have now the chance of having a small link for my own neshama to connect, it's just as valuable. It's getting in touch with the same value. So the worry for fixing everything or to doing big things could be limited, and say, okay, put that aside. Yeah, I'm not talking about a worry which is a plan, which is something which brings to action. I'm talking about a worry which is a word. In other words, that I can't settle with a small thing because there's so many big things that need to be done. Yeah. So then I say that again, the eitzah, the real eitzah always is what says in the Yom to look at what the results are. Look, that's why you have time, really have time, to have a cheshbon in the past to see what were the results of very holy thoughts I had in the past. What were the results in my own life of big worries, big plans, or small plans, and not thinking big plans. Both ways. I mean, it's not like one way is right, one way is wrong. You have to see the results. You have to see the results of comments you made, let's say, to other people, if they were positive, if they were negative, if they had a positive result by the other person. So many times it comes from very good intentions, but it doesn't necessarily bring to that result. So again, that also has to be thought into, like, what are the results of things I've done in the past in a certain way, and that's how you can see if it's coming tzaddik kedusha or not. But in the meantime, also, like, even if I tell myself, okay, it's not tzaddik kedusha, but it's bothering me. So I'm not supposed to think it's fine, but it's there, and therefore I can't push it, settle, and focus on a small thing because I have these big plans in mind or these big ideas in mind. So that's where the focus on the practicality has to be, and say, one second, why is this? Why am I worried so much about this whole big thing of helping so many people, etc., etc.? Because Yidden are precious, the Abish is precious, Torah is precious, and therefore I really want to get so many people to do so many good things. But for the same price, since it's that there's a complete neshama and a complete Abish and a complete Torah, then the link that I could do to that complete thing with my complete neshama is a complete thing. Not a complete thing you can go to sleep, a complete thing to cherish. So that's, with that approach, it has to be true. It could be serious, and it could be happy, and it could be productive. Guilt can also be true. Guilt is also like, I'm a yid, and therefore, if the Abishah wants me something and I didn't fulfill it, there's a big deal. It really bothers me, and it can hurt a person. But it's a hurt based on the value of his neshama, the value of the Abishah, the value of what he could accomplish, and therefore it right away translates to a positive motivation to do things in a better way. And therefore, other thoughts which are just putting a person down, and it's not leading in the direction of fixing anything, so cut it short. Say, 1 second, where are you heading? What do you want from me? You just want me to feel guilty? I mean, could be you're right, but what's the point? And therefore, it can't be 100% right if it's not leading to the right point. Yeah, so that has to be the balance. That's how it can be done. The simcha.
Oh.
Chaim
Rachim. Chaim Rossi. Sorry. You have to go only half the bubble. Only some rules in your bubble. So bring me a chips.
Why is in Kippur not before Rosh Hashanah? What's the question?
Ask him what's the difference between Elul and Seres Mitzvah? Is that what you mean?
So basically, in Kippur is taking Rosh Hashanah into practicality. And only you think about yourself. Huh? No. That's when it actually happens in practicality. Only you're thinking about yourself. You're thinking about what I did right, what I did wrong. I want to get closer to the Eibishter. Before that, I have to see where I am. Where am I in the right direction? Where am I in the wrong direction? No, that's Elul. No, that's Elul. Come Rosh Hashanah and you think about the Eibishter. I want to devote to the Eibishter. Forget about myself. Forget about my history. I realize the direction. Now let's distract myself from that. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with me. There's an Eibishter I want to devote myself to. I want to arouse that desire. Once I wrote the desire, I have to translate that into my own details. What does that mean in my life? So which of my actions now fits to that, and which doesn't? Which do I have to enhance? Which do I have to change? After I thought about the details based on the Yesod of Rosh Hashanah, I come to you and I say again the whole thing of Rosh Hashanah, but now I know what I'm talking about. I'm coming with all my pekulim and I'm saying, okay, this yes and this not, and this not, and this not, because if I want to connect to you, it has to be this method. So I'm translating the general devotion of Rosh Hashanah into my details.
And then?
And
Sukkot.
Sukkot is when you actually live.
Rosh Hashanah is a focus.
The court case, that's a small.
Usually that's what you're supposed to be doing.
That's what?
That's what you're supposed to be doing. What you should do is next. How you going to implement this?
Rosh Hashanah? No.
Okay,
Rosh Hashanah, you just think about the Eibush, then you want to devote yourself. The Eibush, this judges how sincere it is. And based on that, whatever he decides. Yeah? But that's you're trying just to have that simple devotion. That's Rosh Hashanah. Says to make sure you want to translate that into your life. In Kippur, you want to go back and say again the statement you said in Rosh Hashanah, but you're more educated. Now you know exactly what that means in your personal life, and therefore you're actually coming close. You're not just deciding to come close, consider that if you're actually coming close, you're actually allowing yourself to come close. Once I allow myself to come close, comes Sukkot, and now I appreciate my closeness to the Eibush. I appreciate the fact that I'm surrounded by the Eibush, and I'm involved with the mitzvah the whole time, etc. Yeah? Yeah? That's in a nutshell. The full readings. Yeah? There's a Yeshuva, Yochid is like a tzibur. Doesn't mean on one hand you can say, okay, so I'm good enough alone because I'm like a tzibur on my own. You could also bring out that Yochid is essentially someone who cares about a tzibur. Is essentially someone who doesn't just think about himself, and therefore, just being alone, he can be considered a tzibur. So when your neshama is brought out, then the fact that you're not a tzibur, the point is you're not focusing on yourself. 10 different people together, you all davening today, okay, now I can accept you guys because you're not all stuck in your own mitzias, in your own in your own whatever things that you like. You're joining together with other yidden, you're davening together. Oh, now I can listen. Now you're not, and you're focusing on yourself. On you're able to elevate yourself from yourself. You're able to focus on the in a more pure way. And therefore you can be like a tzibur, which also means that naturally you could care about the tzibur as well. Naturally, the fact that you're not just thinking about yourself and your own development, your own yourself in Kedusha, but about the rest of the tzibur, the rest of the yidden, the rest of the closer tzibur, whatever stages it goes in, is something which a person will have naturally from this connection to the Eibishter. So, basically, is what am I saying? Yeah. So the fact that a person has to think about the tzibur and how to help the tzibur is something which is supposed to be ingrained in the Yid's neshama, that he's not just thinking about himself, thinking about the rest of the tzibur. Now again, a person could think that is something very big and something very frightening and something that will try to make sure that I don't have to fix everyone, have to tell everyone how they're supposed to behave. So we're not talking yet about how you bring that into action. There's the fact that you care about the tzibur. The fact that it matters, that the other Yidden matter, whether their state is, where they're holding in life, where they're going down, they're going up. It's something which matters. If it matters, if I have an opportunity, I'll do something about it. I might even look out for opportunities to do something about it. I can't do everything. I can't help everything. I can't, even what I am doing, I can't do it in a full way. But I could do something. Before the doing, there's the caring. If there's the caring, then there's the awareness, and you can pay attention, and sometimes you could say a good word, and sometimes you could help out. Once it's on your mind, things could be done in a more spontaneous way. Generally speaking, when someone is besimcha, when someone recognizes his connection to the Eibush, his connection to the Rebbe, and therefore he's able to awaken his neshama in a more, in an easier way, and therefore I'm doing things not with my own koiches. I'm not just saying that as a line. I try to actually live that way. What I'm doing is not mine, it's not my credit, it's not my whatever. I don't have to feel, I may be much, but I'm not like focusing that, oh yeah, I did this and I did that, and I'm so dust, I'm so tired of that. I'm doing, but it's not, I'm here in order to accomplish something. The koiches I have are given from somewhere, so therefore, I can move on. I don't know, I can't really do everything, but I'm moving in a lighter way. I'm moving in a way that I'm not so, caught up on how much I'm doing and how much credit it takes, how much credit I deserve, etc., etc. Then I could more, in a lighter way, affect others. Without big plans, without big things, just like throw a good word and it'll be an automatic thing. I'm not so focused on what I'm doing, and everything that I'm doing is so much to my credit. And therefore, I just care about other people like I care about myself. And I can just, say a good word to this person, that person, that person. It could flow much more, much better when it's with that happier attitude. So this Yachid Kitzibur is something which we should get in touch with our neshama, and therefore we should appreciate others and care about others and look out for whoever we can help, or before help, but the fact that it matters to up or etc. It's something that we should be aware of, and then in a more automatic way we will extend our hand and do things in their benefit. And it'll be in a more flowing way and a more accepted way as well. When it's in a happier, not holding credit to yourself manner, then it has a much more positive effect. Chaim l'chaim. Hey,
Three, maybe top them up. Well finished, don't worry. I'm finished. I'm finished.
No, you didn't finish it. You have to mitzvah.
All the JLA. Use of JLA.
Yeah.
Here has not been unpacked.
Flat pack Judaism, this stuff.
Has not been unpacked.
Yeah, it's good. As long as all the parts come along, you know,
You had
usually.
the
Right?
one recently about the Rebbe about
Yeah, yeah.
People usually move forward when they have a clear plan, trying to achieve something, trying to build something, to make something very, very clear. And you're more enthusiastic, like move on forward. Let's say when you have all these different things that come up that, you know, trying to deal with different situations and no one knows exactly where it's heading. I mean, sometimes it's hard, like, you know, to have the same toikif of obedience and of following it and when like, and then what? Like to where's it going? It makes it hard. I mean, yeah, especially if whatever we don't know and they don't know, whatever it is, and it's very, very hard to like be very, very. I mean, it depends for who. People that are used to, people that are used to always following, you know, technical things. You know, that's what needs to be done. Whatever. There's a point. There's no point. You just do it. Fine. The people that usually are used to going in a way that, you know, we're heading somewhere and it means something. Sometimes it's a bit hard. When it comes to Yiddishkeit also, so there's Yiddishkeit, you know, that for me, then the shul, Yom Kippur is a big deal. You go to shul, what's going to be? Shul, like it, shul, you have to do the Rosh Hashanah, you have to do the Yom Kippur, and you have to have that inspiration. But then there is, if you want to actually fix something. So as you know, you're trying to build the Pesach, build a kilo, build a shul, build a big Chabad, reach another place, another center. So you're going to achieve something. By us, we were in the Schanech by the Rebbe, and they were heading towards Mashiach. In other words, that to suffice and to like feel good with the fact that we achieved a lot in this and in that and many, many different areas that could be very accomplishing doesn't satisfy us. In the back of our mind, we don't feel really, really satisfied because, you know, and then what? And so what? I mean, it's only heading somewhere else, which sometimes therefore other people might achieve more in making big, nice places and big, you know, fancy, and you know, things because everything's put into it, everything's focused on it. This is the goal. So we're meant to do. Now we achieved it, and it's a big, nice place, and then you know, we did it. But sometimes, you know, if we don't feel that satisfied with it, then it could sometimes make a person not put in so much effort into that, and therefore, whatever, we want to necessarily reach those goals. Then we're coming to going towards Mashiach, so we had these Eirus from the Rebbe, made these Eirus, and then there was many times afterwards that there was another Eirus, and now there was another Eirus, but then it is hard for a person to continue with that type of Eirus and that type of being sure that we're heading there. Sure, slowly. I mean, surely, and like getting there and like it's accomplishing it. It could be a very hard thing. There has to be a bit involved in the idea of bitachon, the idea that, you know, the Eibush is running the show, and he's definitely heading it to that direction, and therefore I can like rely on him that I'm actually heading there, I'm actually accomplishing, which is a hard thing, because if I know, like, okay, by today, by tomorrow, I did this and that and that and that, and then I'll accomplish it. Fine, but if it's like I'm doing it and it's definitely getting there, but I'm basically trusting, I'm basically relying on something which is totally beyond me understanding, and I'm trusting that because of that, I know it's heading in the right direction. It's a harder thing. I mean, also taking precautions could also be done in that way. If you know that the Eibishter is helping, the Eibishter is in charge, and I just have to do my bit in the meantime in order to like make sure to do my keli that you know things are going well. So then yes, then I'm not relying on those that will find and those that will solve the issue, etc., etc. I'm relying on the Eibishter, and I'm doing my bit to be a keli for the Eibishter's bracha. It's fine. So then it can move a bit more, but the bitachon thingy is not a thing that you just do in relationship to the thing you want to achieve. I gotta do bitachon, I gotta do the bitachon. Bitachon is a mindset, bitachon is a lifestyle, which is a very hard thing to achieve, but it's something which we have to work on achieving. It's a general reliance on the Eibishter, a general life which is based around the Eibishter, that whatever the Eibishter wants is important, and therefore whatever the Eibishter wants to achieve, he could achieve, and therefore the Eibishter's love to us is the most real thing, much more than anything else, and therefore I could rely on that. Never I can rely with two folds together, that whatever he does is for the good, but he will do the good thing in a revealed way that I will appreciate, because both come together. If he's really good, so whatever he did was definitely good. And on the other hand, he definitely doesn't want to stay in the things that we have to explain to ourselves are good. Since he definitely loves us, he definitely will bring us to a place that we will appreciate his goodness. So it's a type of life which the result of that would be not to get upset at my personal things, not to focus on my own agendas, not to be focused on my own cover, not to focus my life on physical pleasures. That would all be a result of that attitude. It's a different type of life. It's a different approach, different values, different foundations, which would change the whole perspective. So it's a hard thing because it's throwing yourself into something that you're not in control. A person likes to feel in control, which again in this situation is some of the things that people struggle with because of the lack of control, and the in general, we want to have a goal that we know the beginning and the end and where it's going to head and what it's going to do, and then we did it. Which we have to have that as well as details within our reliance on the Eibishter. We have to make plans, knowing that really it's not in our hands; it's in the Eibishter's hands. And if there's something wrong, we'll be okay. We think about the next thing and how we'll apply that. But it's a whole different mindset of letting go of your control. Not just it's a bunch of details together. Many people find different details within Torah perspective and make a whole Torah around it, and they claim to be a twin of Torah, or like they're saying exactly what Torah said because they're saying some lines which fit. I mean, letting go of control is a Torah that's studied and and reliance on the Hebrews, those are Torah that's studied and applied, etc. But as a whole, in one whole picture, like relating to the Hebrews, there's a real thing, and therefore it goes two ways. Not just I rely on him, but I try to live according to him. I try to live according to him because he stands for something and he's real and his values are the right values. And therefore I live my life like that. And I put that as something before my own personal goals. It's a whole different type of life that together with that, I like control. I'm relying on the Eibishter, and I'm therefore living the life with the Eibishter. Not just relying on him for the things that I need. If just for those details, then that's all bitachon is. Bitachon is that I make the Eibishter a reality in my life, and at least I'm heading there. At least I'm trying that, and therefore he's so real to me, and therefore I rely on him that he really loves me, he really loves Yidden, and therefore he's really do things that we could appreciate as well. So, and therefore, I know that he's heading towards Mashiach, and everything is bringing there. So it does bother me that it's taking so long, and I do want it to come much quicker, and I do rely on the fact that based on the fact that a while ago it was already meant to be here. So since that's the reality, so that only enhances that it should be here even sooner. But together with that, I could continue doing things which bring people around me because my whole life is relying on me. My life is relying on him. So that's Chassidus, we emphasize a lot that Shuv in general is not just fixing details, fixing actions, but changing the perspective. Not just perspective in a speech that you'll say, but in perspective like in your life. What's the focus? What's the goal? What is life all about? What's valuable in my life? And as a result of that, the details. So this is the change of perspective that the values are not based on my own values, and then fixing this bad thing and that bad thing, and doing one more good thing. I mean, yes, we do that. We should do that, even if we're not holding much in the whole perspective. But the direction is in order to come to Yom Kippur, as we said, that you're living what you're meant to decide in Rosh Hashanah, a total devotion to the Eibishter, a total connection to the Eibishter. That it's not just that I fixed a lot of my details, but that I'm with my details, I'm trying to change my life, change my perspective, change my whole attitude to things, to make the Eibishter's things the most important things, the center of my life, etc. Together with knowing the fact that I have an extra Bahamas, I have to deal with it as well. Sometimes I have to feed them as well. In a way, they'll be productive for my service of the Eibishter. I'm not ignoring the reality that I have my other part as well, but not as a basis of my life, but as a detail within my life that I have to deal with based on the general picture. So the enthusiasm to fix things, to grow in things, is based on the attitude of bitoch. Others, okay, I fix another thing. Okay. I helped one person, okay, but then some of the other people I can't help, whatever it is, or what did I do already? There's so many things that you might be lose your cheshik in pushing for. You don't see the big end goal. But when the chatchila, your attitude is that your goals in the chatchila are not based on you. The chatchila, your goals are based on the Eibishter's perspective, or at least that's where you're heading. So then, in these details as well, you're focusing. You're. Hang on 1 second. Okay, you're focusing.
The chips. Paper chips. Das nicht auf noch jetzt. Mama, lass mich. Komm. Chaim Bracha. Mama. What? 9? Yeah, 8.
You're right, I can.
Masai Gosima. Gosimar, Kashaya Poto, Manazaka, Hota, Sam. Gosimar, Kashaya Toto, Yadaya, Mama, Yadaya. Masai Gosima. Masaka Kuwata. Masai Gosima. Yeah, Masai Cosima, Rekashaya Pato, Masai Cosima. What's that? Anyway, nice. Huh? You going anywhere nice? Mm. Huh?
Now, good to year as this year begolim.
Talking about Shabbos Shuvah? I have to wait for another Farbrengen.
Shuvah, big friend.
That's about him, son. I'm a little sushi. We have to do Shnai Mikvah this week, no? Extra careful. So Chamishi? Wow, look.
Ah. No, till shame. The night is still shame. Tomorrow, no. Shabbos morning, Shvi.
Yeah, I know.
Huh? No. Someone did a baby's minute. No, Thursday night is till shame.
No, Chabrutza today. Oh, I heard something happened in Manchester.
Was
New York. Sorry.
It brings people to good this area, that's good.
What's that?
It brings people to good this area, that's good. Otherwise,
Things are outside your control.
us?
Yeah, so get to that. Good catch. Kan ik stem die alle? Dan een goede plaats.
Okay, good to see you.
Maar
Good continue.
dat een marif. Ik ben alleen. Een nachtbrachen. Okay, grüße, ich höre die alle versammelte von nun und beiden. Nicht vergessen, mach nach Barchachönen. Grüße, ich höre zu einem Argenim. Ich höre Levi. Yeshua. Sie sind stark. Ich mache sie mit Teven.